Hey there tribe, Melinda here with a mental health video today. So it might not be as bubbly and bright as normal, but it's a very important topic to cover, and I always have the intention of shedding light on things so we can improve them and for the better good of people. So although it might not be all rainbows and butterflies, the intention is to create an awareness around mental health so we can work together as a community, as humanitarians on a global scale, to reduce the number of people that take their own life. Mental health is obviously something quite firm on my radar. I wrote the book, so Dig in Your Dark Side. I have my own battles with depression, and I lost my son to depression. So suicide might be the cause of death, but it's not the reason why someone dies. They die from depression. And then my own son also had an attempt when he was really struggling with the grief and loss of his stepbrother, who he was incredibly close to. So it's something that's very important to me, and something that I experienced firsthand for myself, and understanding what it feels like to have this darkness that really takes a hold of you, your chemicals to be so out of whack that you are suffering so deeply, but you can't blame it on anything. You can't say, well, I've got this, I've got a broken arm, or, I've got cancerous cells. There's nothing that you can just go, this is what's causing me pain. It's this horrible imbalance going on inside, this soulful agony that is taking place that you just need to ride out. And unfortunately, not all people who suffer depression know that it does wax and wane, it comes and goes, and you can sit through it and allow it to pass. And B, sometimes it comes so hard and fast because of, the chemical imbalance is so significant, or the treatment is just so off course for what they need, that they feel like that was their only way to create peace for themselves. So unfortunately, we're losing a lot of people. It's actually the lead cause of death between people of 15, as young as 15 to 44 in Australia. It's the lead cause of death, suicide. It's crazy. There's 60,000 attempts each year in our country, and that's a lot of people that are suffering, and they're suffering mostly in silence, and then they're having these outbursts, these moments where they can't bear it anymore. Sometimes they're a cry for help, and sometimes they really are a means to an end. So it's something that we need to start taking really seriously, and remove the labels of anyone that has a mental health condition. It's like anyone. We don't point the finger at someone with cancer that it's their own fault. We don't point the finger at someone with a broken arm or with a liver condition. So we shouldn't be pointing the finger at anyone with a mental health condition either. It is something that you cannot control. You can definitely help yourself, and you can make choices to improve the quality of your life, but it is something that you don't have complete control over, that you need to just let to happen to you like any other condition that a person suffers from. So we need to remove these horrible labels that we've cast over people with mental health conditions, and understand that I'm a business owner, I'm a mother, I am a good contributing member of my community and my society, but I have depression. I've had moments of wanting to end my life because of the intense pain and suffering that I've experienced inside. And it's not because I'm a dark and gloomy person. It is absolutely not that. It is because the pain you're feeling and experiencing feels like it will never end. It's this pit of despair that feels like it's just trapping you and stopping you from living and experiencing your life the way you want to. It's like any other condition that people will suffer from, in terms of how it impacts you and the fact that it's not your fault that it's happening. And something that was really interesting to me was the experiences I've had around this. We have received so much care, compassion, kindness, empathy around losing Flynn. The amount of love that we've received from people, and understanding of how traumatizing it is to lose someone to this horrible, horrible condition, for them to be that crippled that they feel the only out is to end it. There's no coming back from that. There's no coming back. There's no changing anything once you've made that call, but that's how pained some people are inside, that they feel like that's their only method. So we've been on one end of the spectrum where you receive this love and kindness after the fact, after it's done. But when Oscar had his moment of just complete grief, and it was fleeting for him, it wasn't, a long bout of depression like it was for Flynn, or as it has been for me. It was a momentary thing induced by alcohol as well. It was a completely different story. So when he was, the police were here and he was getting taken, it was really traumatic. Everything that happened that night was traumatizing for Oscar. For me, it was not what you would expect to happen when a child particularly has cried out for help, and his behavior was really quite distressful. Like, I was beside myself with the language coming out of his mouth and the way he was treating authorities, but it wasn't okay the way they were treating him either. It was really not how I would expect someone calling out for help to be treated. And then he was basically scheduled and taken off me, and I understand that needs to happen. When someone is not in a place to make good decisions for themselves, it makes sense that that the law is allowed to take that right from them and to do the things that will keep them alive. So scheduling makes sense. I'm not at all, blaming that part of the system, but that was, so any right was taken away from me that night. And everything that happened thereafter was now the decision of the hospitals and the professionals. And he was placed into Nexus, which is full of the most compassionate, kind, nurturing staff. The social worker, the nurses, the psychiatrist, I couldn't fault a single person. They were all so beautiful and so understanding and compassionate to this very distraught boy, and so kind to me and understanding the pain that I was experiencing, seeing my son in that state, and particularly so close after losing Flynn as well. It was really, there's just no words for what we've experienced lately. There really isn't. And the love, again, that I received from these people was next level. But I do have a bit of a glimpse, like a bit of a problem, I guess, with the methods that we use to help people with these kind of episodes of lack of mental clarity, and placing someone who's already feeling distraught into a place where they're locked in by multiple doors, and they're in a room with nothing in it, and with other people that are very distraught as well, which is just going to elevate their anxiety and their concerns, and having no privacy, and someone shining a light on them every 15 minutes. And I understand why those protocols are in place. You've got to keep those children alive, and having a good night's sleep is secondary to keeping them alive. So I understand why we have those processes in place. But I do worry that we have gone down this sort of methodical and clinical approach in the system, not by the people. The people are amazing working within the system, but the system is very clinical in its approach and not really human and nurturing, and allowing space for people to truly heal, which is the way to heal is through love and connection. And we're placing them in places where they're isolated and scared. And I can't see us as humans being able to really nurture and progress through this mental health challenge that we've got with the approach that we're currently taking. And I've also had another experience where I was trying to help a very dear friend of mine she was suffering from depression. She had bipolar and a few other conditions that were diagnosed to her, but she also had alcoholism. And trying to find a place that would take her on when she had those dual conditions was a mission impossible. I couldn't find anywhere except somewhere that would charge, I think it was $60,000 for us to send her there, which wasn't in our budget, obviously. So it was this sort of frustrating feeling of wanting to help someone, but trying to find where they position and where you can receive the help. And then on the other hand, we have so many amazing programs like CAMS who ring me every week, and I can ring them freely and discuss the things that are bothering me, that are going on inside of my home and with my family, and how we can get support around that. So we have this amazing support on one end of the spectrum that's free as well and available to any adolescent that, you know, there isn't a wait list and whatnot, but it's there and readily available. And then we have this other end of the spectrum where we haven't covered this other demographic of people who are needing care. And then we've got this clinical approach to people who need love and nurturing. And I guess this video is just to bring awareness from my experiences to other people who may not have experienced this side of life because you haven't needed to. And, you know, thank God for that. But it is a problem. And it's a problem that at the moment, this is a bit of a frustrating video for the watchers, I guess, because I don't have any solutions, and I prefer to come on these videos with a little bit of wisdom and knowledge or insight that I've received, but I don't know the answer to this one. All I want to do is bring an awareness around of mental health conditions, that they're not anyone's fault. They're a condition like any other that we need to give compassion, love and kindness to, and that we need to start thinking about how we can create a system and a process for people that are suffering that isn't as clinical and structured as it is, because the people who are caring for these people, the professionals that are there working with them, have all the love and kindness to give, but they're very limited with what they can do to help that person because of the structure around them. And it's time that we start voicing these concerns as a community and start to talk about better ways to help people that are suffering in silence, because they're really needing our support. They're really needing a hand to reach out and to tell them that we've got them, that we can nurture them and we can help them through this, because having that support person or support group is the most fundamental part of any person healing and coming out of a mental health condition. I hope that that was insightful for people. I hope that some of you out there watching have, you know, seen some amazing clinics that aren't ridiculously priced, and you can pop them in the comments and start sharing your knowledge and wisdom above what I have, and you can start to give answers and solutions to the problems that I've shared, and we can create a bit of a forum for people to start voicing their concerns and expressing their ideas on how we can help better our systems so we can nurture and protect people who really need it. I hope you're having a great day, guys. I'm sorry if that was a bit of a Debbie Downer, but it's something that's really important for me to talk about. Big love to you. Ciao.